Alright, hello guys, this is like my first tutorial video, and in this video, I'll be showing you all how to make like the little program I made in my last video, and if you don't know what it is, basically this is what it is. So you put in like a yes or no question. For this one I'm gonna say, will you guys subscribe to me? Oh, and it just gives you like a randomized response that you could like choose what the options are, and this time you got guaranteed, so make sure you subscribe. But yeah, let me get into it. So the first thing we're gonna do, well, I'm using BlueJ for this. I don't know what you guys are using, but the first thing I'm gonna do is go here and create a new project. I'm gonna call this Magic 8 Ball. The name doesn't really matter, but alright. So the first thing we're gonna be doing for making this is make 3 classes. So the first class we're gonna call is like just run. I mean, the names don't matter, but I think it'd be easier if you guys are new and you don't understand everything to just follow like the names I put. So we're gonna call this class run. For now, this is like what's gonna be like, this is what's gonna run everything, if that makes sense. Instead of having all of it jumbled up into one class, they're gonna be split up, but this is the one that's gonna like bring all those components together, if that makes sense. So the next one, we're gonna call this the J option class. This one is, if you know what a J option is, that's what we're gonna be using to make like the prompt that comes up, and this is the class that's gonna handle like most of it. And then the next one we're gonna make is response class. This is where the computer is gonna like get the response and randomize it. And yeah, so the first thing we're gonna work on is the J option class. So double click it to open it up. If yours doesn't look like mine's and has like a lot of more stuff, it's probably because you didn't do this. So I forgot to tell you guys this, but when you click new class, go right here and put this on minimal, because it gets rid of like all the extra mumbo jumbo shit. But yeah, so first we're gonna open the J option class, right? First thing I like to do is just change how this is, because that just annoys me, because I'm used to having like the little squiggly lines like this. So the first thing we're gonna do in this class is we're gonna make a method. So if you don't know how to make a method, you just do public what the method's gonna return, if that makes sense. And what this one is gonna return is actually nothing. So when it's nothing, you just put void. So we're gonna do public void and then the name of the method. I'm gonna call this method, let's see, maybe like, this is what's gonna ask, right? So just ask question. Then you put the parentheses and then another squiggly line. So, oh wait, actually no. The first thing we need to do is do this at the top. Import javax.swing. I forgot what that's called, like thingamabobber, and then this the semicolon. So this is getting like one of the swing Java libraries, which allows us to use the J option class or the J option pane. So what we're gonna do here is create the J option pane. So how you do this is do J option, or actually first we need to create it. So we're gonna call this J option. Oh no, what was it? Hold on, my bad. Actually, I think we just do this J option pane. So let's start with this J option pane. This is like calling the class called J option pane. We're gonna J option pane dot show input dialog, and then put that there. This is basically just whoa. We'll put the arguments in. So this is like the main thing if you want like to bring up an input dialog where the user puts in like whatever they want and it gets the input. So what we're gonna do is the first parameter that goes in here is what the parent of this is. In reality, we don't need this right now, because like this is what you usually use if you're putting it in like a frame or like a panel, but we're not getting into all that. Ours is gonna be really simple, so you can simply just put null and then comma. The next thing that goes here is like what's gonna pop up for the user, like the question. And the question that's gonna pop up is gonna be ask a yes or no question. Your question doesn't need to be exactly like mine, just make sure it has something to do, so like the user knows like specifically what to do. The next parameter that goes in here is the name of like the J option pane. It doesn't really matter a lot. We can just do like magic, forgot the quotations, but magic 8 ball. Alright, boom. Let me full screen this. And the next thing that goes in here is like, how do I explain this? I guess the type of J option pane this is. This doesn't really do much. It just changes like the logo really. But what we do is do J option pane dot, make sure this is in all caps, question message, and boom, that's really all for this whole entire what do you call it, this whole entire method, because that's like all we really need. And the next thing we're gonna do is create another method, right? Because this is what's handling all the J options. So we're gonna be using multiple, I think 3 in total. The next one is gonna be called, I think we call it well, we're gonna make it void also because we're not gonna really be returning anything. And we could call this give response. This is like the part where it's gonna show like the answer to whatever I put in, like the whatever, like if I say, is it morning right now? This is what's gonna pop up and say yes or no or probably or whatever you have it say. So public void give response, and then boom. And then the parameter of what this method is gonna be is, well, we need the response, because how is the computer gonna know what we have as a response? Which this currently, just don't really think about this, because we'll go back to this when we go to the response class, which will explain all this. So we could just call this string response. This is basically making a variable that's a string called response that we're going to use in this method. So then, yeah, I need to cut this real quick and then I'll come back. So yeah. Alright, so for, like I was saying, so we're gonna make, we already made the method called get response, right? And this one, like, since this is the J option class, we're gonna be using another J option, but this one isn't the same. So we're gonna do the J option pane dot, instead of doing show input dialog, we're gonna do show message dialog, because this is the part where it's gonna like show the answer. So you're not really getting any input from the user, it's just straight up showing something. The parameters is really similar. So first, since this isn't parented to anything, we're just gonna do null and comma, right? So the next part, right, is basically what the message is, what we're gonna be telling the user, and what we're telling the user is the response. And instead of typing it, since the response is gonna be different each time, we're gonna use this right here, string response, which currently is nothing, but this is where we're gonna store the data of the response, if that makes sense. So just do string response, and yeah. Now the next one, same as last time, it's gonna be the name of the J option pane. So we could just call this like the answer. Boom. And then now you could just do the same thing as we did last time, the J option pane, that question message, because like I said, this part really just changes like the icon / logo on like the J option thing. So we could do J option pane dot question message. Oh, I forgot the underscore. Oh my gosh, wait. Question message. And once you're done, always put the semicolon. Alright, so now what we could do, right, is just hit compile to compile it. And actually on BlueJ, what you could do here is, ignore that. Okay, but actually, yeah, what you could do here is, since this is BlueJ, what you could do is go here and you could do new J option class. And this like basically lets you use the components without fully finishing the code to like test it. So this doesn't matter. You could just go here, right? Then right click it, and then these are like the methods you made. So we could do new just to test it, void ask question, right? Boom. It gives us the little, this is what like the user would be seeing. Ask a yes or no question, and then we just write blah blah blah, and that's all. Because right now we haven't connected it to anything else. So this is all. Now we could also test the response. So right now we don't have like a, because you know how we use string response in the code, we don't have that variable set to anything yet, so it's gonna access. I think we could just do, let's see, blah blah blah. Does this work? Okay. String, what if I do like string response equals blah blah blah. Okay, never mind. I guess we just can't use this, but this would let us test it. Can I just do like string 1? Oh my goodness, sorry, is this on? Yeah, this would let us test it, but I guess we can't do this right now because there's no response for it right now. Ignore this. Alright, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're basically done with this whole class. We'll come back to it later, but this is like really all that we needed for now. So the next thing we're gonna do, or we could just remove this, so it doesn't matter, but you can right click it, click remove. the next thing we're gonna do is actually we're gonna start the responses. So open the response class. You'll go here. Now we don't need to do the import thing because we're not gonna be using the J option pane at all here. Let me just change this to my liking. Alright, so the first thing we're gonna do is create another method. All of these classes are really gonna be just straight methods because these are like our component classes. So basically the method we're making right now is pretty simple. It's gonna randomize a number from the computer, and we're gonna need this a lot to randomize the responses, because the responses are gonna be based off of numbers, if that makes sense. So hold up. I need a drink. So we're gonna public int, right? We're calling this int because, like I said before, the second thing you put in when making a method, a second like argument, is what you're returning. And this time we're returning a number because it's gonna randomize numbers. So we do public int, and then we're gonna call this get random int, something simple, you know. And what's gonna go in here inside the argument is gonna be the max, just the max, because we're randomizing numbers. But how are they gonna know, like, you know, how are they gonna know like how much numbers? So we're gonna get an error because we haven't have a return statement yet, but it's okay. So right now we're gonna create an integer called int random int, and then we're gonna set this equal to, this is how you set, like, how you get a random number basically. So we want ours to, normally when you do this, it has it as a float, or no, a double, if you know what that is. I'm not gonna get into it, but just ignore that. Alright, so you're gonna do parentheses int, and then we're gonna do another set of parentheses and do math dot random. This is like the syntax for getting a random number. We're gonna do math dot random parentheses times. This is where it's gonna get kind of confusing. If you wanna learn what this means, I suggest you researching this on your own, because I honestly don't know the best way to explain it to you guys. But we're gonna do math dot random times length, or not length, but the max. So right here, max plus 1, and just do that. I don't want to go on and explaining it because I don't really fully understand it either. But I mean, we're gonna do return random. There. Now this small little like thing lets us, you know, get the integer, and we're gonna be using this a lot. So it's good that we made it early, because, you know, it's good for reusability. So the next thing we're gonna do is, well, I think first thing we should do is create a response, like we're gonna categorize the responses into like 3 different categories, so it's easier to create and find like the response, if that makes sense. So we're gonna do public string, because this time we're gonna be returning the responses, which are gonna be strings. So we could start with public string. We can name this yes responses, because responses. Alright, make sure my spelling is good. Or we just name it yes response. So this is technically where we're gonna be handling all the responses that have to do it yes, like stuff like guaranteed, for sure, stuff like that. Alright, so we're gonna first create a variable, a variable called string. This right here is basically creating an array which holds multiple values, and you'll see why we use. So we're gonna call the string, we're gonna call it choices. These are all gonna be like the response choices, equals to these. This is how you make like an array. You use the squiggly brackets. So now in here we could put in the different responses. So the first one we're gonna have is yes, because, you know, this is the yes response. Let's see, you could put guaranteed. I don't know if I'm spelling this right. Guaranteed. 100%. Oh shit, I forgot the thing. Oh, there's a percent. Alright, 100%. What else? Sure. And like certain sleep. Alright, boom. Now we forgot the shits. Now we have an array of all the choices we could have, right? But like I said, this is returning one of these choices randomized. So how we're gonna do that is we're gonna return, right? Because we're gonna need to return a string. We're gonna create, or actually no, we're not gonna create anything new. We could just use return choices, right? But you can't return the whole array, because then you just can't, because I'm saying I'm returning a string, and this isn't a string, this is an array. See, it's like it's a string, but it's like an array string. So what we're gonna do is pick a specific one of these specific responses from this array, but we're gonna randomize it. You can't just do it normally, because that would ruin the point. So we're gonna do return choices. Boom. How this works is everything in this array is numbered. This 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I were to return choices 1, it's gonna return the, well, not the first thing, because arrays start with 0. So number 1 would be right here, because it goes 0, 1. So it's gonna return guaranteed. This is basically telling, oh, go into the array and get the thing in this place, and in the ones place is guaranteed. So, but like I said, we're gonna want to randomize it. So what we're gonna do is go here, right? Instead of putting the number we want specifically, we want to randomize it. We're gonna use this method that we created before, the get random int. So we could do get random int, and we need a max, right? So what is the max number for this? What do you call it? For this array? So technically, right, it's gonna be the amount in here. Well, no, it's not gonna be the amount in here, because since it starts at 0, right, it's gonna be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the max should be, oh, I put this wrong. Oopsies. But the max should be 4. But we need to wait for the computer to know without us directly telling it. And what we could do for this is get random int choices dot length. This gets the length of the array choices, and the length currently is 5, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But like I said, we need 4, because when we like dig into the array to get the specific response, it starts at 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And instead of telling it 4, we're gonna do choice that length minus 1, because this equals 4. And then boom. That's basically all we need to do for this whole part. So now, right, what we're gonna do is copy and paste this. You know, change the name to no responses, and we're gonna create all we need to do is change this part, what's inside this array. So now you could go here, do exactly what we did before, and change it to whatever you like. So for me, I'm gonna do no, because these are no responses, so I'm gonna do like negative things. So no, definitely not, I spelled that wrong. Instead of 100%, we could do 0%. We could do never, and like what? Nope. Boom. Now you could create as much different categories as you like. I hate when this happens a lot. There. So you could create as much different categories as you like. I'm just gonna do 3. So I have one already done, and I'm just gonna copy and paste it because it's really the same thing. It's not a lot of thinking going on. So just copy paste. All right, there. What I have are like maybe responses. You know, they don't give like a direct answer, kind of like in the middle. But yeah. Now these are the set of responses. So now this is like all the easy part. Now let's get into like the part that actually requires some thinking. So we're gonna create another method that's gonna actually randomize and get the response. Because right now, these randomize from the array in its method, but right now we have no way of randomizing which category it gets specifically, and that's what we're gonna be doing right now. So we're gonna create a new method. So we're gonna do public string, because we're gonna be returning the response from here. So public string, we call this get response. Wait, I forgot response is spelled wrong here. But yeah, get response, and then boom. We don't need anything in the argument, so let's just continue. Alright, so the first thing we're gonna do is right here we're gonna do int response class amount. And what I'm gonna be having in here is basically like the amount, or actually never mind, ignore everything I just said. Actually no, yeah, we can have this. So yeah, this is the amount of of categories we have. And if you made more, your number might be different. But since I have 3 categories, which is the yes response, no, and maybe, we're gonna do the class amount to be 2. Or to make it less confusing, we're gonna do the amount we have minus 1. So we have 3 minus 1. Oh, not me. But if you don't get it, just think of it as this. We're doing minus 1 because when we randomize the number, because we're going to use a random number, the number minimum is 0, not 1. So if we have it as 2, right, it's going to give us 3 options, which is what we need because we have 3 categories. So let's say I were to leave it as 3. This would be wrong because the number of options I have when randomizing a number between 0 and 3 isn't 3 but 4, because there's 0, 1, 2, 3. And we need only 3, so we're gonna have the amount we have minus 1. If you want, you could like do this right here, subtract 1. So if you ever come back to this, so you can use like subtract 1 from category amount. So if you do ever come back to this, you know. And yeah. So now we're gonna create another int, and we're gonna, this is like the random number we're gonna get. So we're gonna do int random number, or just do num, and then we could do get random int, because that's what we named the method right here, get random int, parentheses, and now remember we need to put the max, and the max is gonna be the response class amount. So response class amount. Boom. So now we have a random number. You don't know what it is right now, but when the code runs, it'll have one. And now we're gonna use something called switch. Switch is basically an if statement, but I guess cleaner when using like, because we're gonna do switch random number, right? This is saying if random number is, let's say 0, then it does this. If it's 1, it does this. If it's 2, it does. Instead of writing if every single time, we could just use a switch statement, which makes it cleaner, I guess. You could do this with an if statement, but it'll be annoying. So we're gonna do switch random number, and then squiggly thing, and then enter. Alright, so how you start a switch is by doing case, and then whatever you want it to be. So this is saying if random number is 0, then it's gonna do something. So, oh, I forgot to make one variable here called string. This is where we're gonna store the response. So we can do string response equals boom, like an empty string thing. So if case is 0, right? For me, I'm gonna connect the yes responses with the number 0. So we're gonna do if random response is 0, it's gonna do, or if random number is 0, it's gonna do response equals yes response. Boom. What is going on? Okay, did I do something wrong? Oh, I forgot to put that. Yeah, make sure don't put a semicolon like I was doing. Put a normal colon. So then yeah. What the fuck? Oh, response. So yeah, we're basically setting the variable called response to whatever yes response we get. So it could be any of these. And then now, so let's say I did run it and I get 0. Boom, my answer would be one of these. But now the number is 1 through 3 or 1 through 2, so we need to have a case for each number. So we can have case 1, and this is going to be, I'm going to connect this with the no responses. So I'm going to do response equals no response. Boom. And then just do the same thing for each category you have. So case 2 is going to be response equals maybe response. And then boom, it was that easy. But we're not done yet. Make sure you do break and then a semicolon at the end of each of these, because basically saying if it doesn't do break, it's gonna run everything else. But we just want to say, oh, if it's 0, change the response and then end the whole switch statement, because that's what we want. Break, break, and then right here, break. And then now we're gonna do this thing called default. This is basically saying if the random number here isn't any of these. So if it's not 0, 1, or 2. And technically it shouldn't be, but let's say something happens and there's like a bug and we don't know it, and we need to know that it's happening. So we could do, just in case it's not any of these, we could do system.out.println. Then we could say like there is no case for plus random. No. This is basically saying that, oh, if it's none of these numbers, it's gonna print in the system. There's no case for, and then the number it got. But we shouldn't worry about this because this most likely wouldn't happen. Make sure you do break after that too. Alright. Oh, you don't really need break after it, but it's just there. So now once we're done with this, we're gonna finish off this like line or this method by just returning the response. Boom. Now this is basically all of it for the response class. It's really simple. So basically what this whole thing do, to sum it up, is it gets a response. So it's gonna randomize the number for the category and then get the response from that category. And now, right, once we have once we have all this, we could go to the main, where is it? We could go to the main class, which is gonna run all these little pieces we just created. So let me cut to that part. Alright, so you wanna open the run class, and then make sure you clear all like the stuff on the top. And then, alright, now that we have a clear class, we can start. So the first thing we're gonna do is create a method, and this method is really just gonna it's gonna put everything together. So we're gonna call it public void, because it's not gonna be returning anything. We just call this like do run. The name doesn't really matter. This is just saying, oh, this is where everything's gonna be done. So the first thing we're gonna do is we need to make an instance of these other classes that we have. It's basically making a copy of the class to use its components. So we're gonna do, what's the name of the J option class? Alright, it's a J option class. So we're gonna do J option class. And we're making a variable of the class. So we're gonna name the variable just ask. Or no, we can just name it J option class, or lowercase J option class. We're gonna equal to J option class, or no, new J option class. Boom. So what this little variable line is saying, that because you know how you need to like define what the variable is before you make it, like you do int number equals. This is what it is. So it's a J option class. The variable we're calling is J option class, and what it's equal to is a copy of this. Look, now that we did it, you can see there's a little line showing that it's using this class. So it basically just makes a copy of the class so we could use this method. So we create an instance of it, and now we're gonna do the same thing for the other class. So we could say response class. That's what we called it, right? Response class. Let's call this like new response. Doing the same thing, equals new response class. Semicolon. Alright. Oh, I forgot the parentheses. Oopsies. And then yeah. Now we just created two instances. Whoa, what the hell? I swapped it out. No, I didn't. Oh wow, I didn't even know that. Okay, let's just response class. I guess I spelled response wrong and I made the name. So now we have two variables of the classes. Now the first thing we're gonna do is ask the question. You know, pull up that prompt that says like ask a yes or no question. So I'm gonna put it right here, and like I forgot what it's called, but it's like the code that doesn't run. I'm just to ask the question, so I know when I'm reading this what this part does. So now we're gonna use the variable that we made, which is J option class, so we could use the ask question method. Now how we do that is really simple. So we use the name of the variable, which is the J option class, so J option class, and then we do dot, and then the method. So the method we have is called ask question. So we're gonna do J option class dot ask question parentheses. Boom. And that basically is just gonna actually answer the question. And now we're done with that, and we can move on. So the next part we're gonna do is get the response. So its name is get the response. And now we're gonna make a variable for the response because we're gonna need it. If you remember before how we put string response here, this is where we're gonna get it. So we're gonna do string response equals, we're gonna use the class, the response class that we made, because this is where we have the method get response. So we're gonna do string response equals the name of the variable, which is new response dot, what do we call it? Get response. So new response dot get response. Boom. And now we have the response. I keep spelling that wrong, bro. But yeah, new response dot get response. This variable is now equal to whatever response that you would get when the computer runs the code. So now that we have that, we could do the final part, which is show the response, because now we have the response stored in data, but we don't have a way of showing it. And how we're going to do this is use the J option class right here, give response. So we're going to do the same thing we did here, but instead of ask question, it's going to be give response. So we're going to call this show the response. Now we could do J option class dot what it's called, and it's called show response or give response. So J option class dot give response. Boom. Then remember, it's going to give me an error, right? Because you see how it says required, it's requiring a string, and that's because in here we did string response. So we need to make sure every time we call this method, inside the parentheses we give it a string, which is what the response is going to be. And since we have it here from the response class, oh, my thing froze. Wow. But yeah, since we have the response from the response class, we could just type in the variable name, which is response. So response, and then boom. That is really all for it right now. So let's go test it out. So we could first we can make this look a little prettier. Boom and boom. It doesn't really matter. Then we go here, click compile, which is like, compiling the code, making it cleaner for the computer to run. And then we do new run. Okay. Oh wait. Oh, I forgot a crucial part, guys. I'm dumb. So we actually have to go back here. What we did is made a method, right? But nowhere in this whole little project is it actually calling the method and running it. So now we got to make the main place where it's going to do that. And how you do that is by doing this. So we're going to do public static void main. This is a very important keywords that the computer sees. When the computer sees these words, it knows, oh, this is the first thing I'm going to run. Well, not the first thing, but the only thing that I'm going to run. So we're going to do public static void main. Public static void main. Then inside here goes string args. I don't really have time explaining this. It's nothing important. Just know that every time you want the computer to run it, you have to put this. And there only could be one per, I think. So now what we're doing here is really simple. We're gonna just do this. We're gonna do everything in this method because this is like everything put together. But if you try doing do, run, it's like that, it's not gonna work. Oh wait, it's not gonna work. And this is because since it's static, meaning that it's separate from the class, kind of. So like we did with the last ones, we have to create a variable for the class. So we could just do first the name of the class, which is up here, run. So we're gonna do run, and then we can just call it main. It doesn't matter, this is the name of the variable, so I'm just gonna call it main. So run main equals new run. Okay, now that we made a copy of the class, we could just call the method here. So we're gonna do main dot, and since we called the method do run up here, do run, main dot do run. Boom, boom, and we're done. That is really the main part of the code that we needed to do. So now if we go here, compile it, and right now I see a new option appears, which is void main string blah 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 args. Click on it, click OK, boom, ask yes or no question. Should everybody like? When you click answer, you get your answer, and which is maybe. Then you click OK, boom, and you're done. So now you're technically done. You could say this is the final product, but the one thing that we're missing is that this code isn't rerunning. So if you want to watch how you make this code be like a loop where it continuously does this until you want to cancel it yourself, you could continue watching. If not, you can click off the video now. But let me skip to that part. Alright, so if you wanted to reloop, like I said it was before, what you basically want to do, we're going to go back into the J option class, right? We're going to create a, hold up, excuse me, I had to burp. But now what we're going to do is that once it finishes giving the response, it's going to have another pop-up that asks, do you want to continue? And if they click yes, it continues. If they click no, then it closes. And it's gonna be in the J option pane. So we're gonna go here and do another method. We're gonna do public void. Oops, spelled that wrong. But public void close option. That's what we're gonna name it. It doesn't matter what, but you know the deal. So public void close option, right? Now what we're gonna do here might be kind of confusing to you, but since, like I said, we're gonna rerun basically the whole code. If they click yes on the option, we're gonna create an instance of the main, or like, what do I mean? An instance of right here where it says like of this class do run. You see basically what we did here? We're gonna do the same thing we did here and here. So we could do run and then call it main again equals new run. There, we created a variable of the class. Now let's continue with the code. So now, right, like I said, oh my god, what is going on? It's like freezing. But yeah, we're gonna create another J option pane, and we're gonna do int result, because this is gonna get the result. If that makes sense, because it's gonna be like a yes or no dialogue, ask if you want to continue, and this is what get the result of it. So we're gonna do int result equals, right, this is like the main part. So we're gonna do J option pane, because you're creating a new one. Dot. And last time we did input dialog and message dialog, I'm gonna show you guys a new one, which is show confirm dialog. This one gives you like a confirmation box. So the parameters are really the same. The parent is the first thing, which is really nothing, so we just put null. Now we're gonna do the question, and the question is gonna be like, do you want to continue? Question mark. Boom. The next part is the name of like the dialog box, and we can just call this like confirmation. The name doesn't matter. And then the next thing, right, this one's important too, or it's not important, like I said, it's just the icon, but it's gonna be different than the last time. So we're gonna do J option pane. Oh my god, I can't spell. J option pane dot, instead of doing question message, we're gonna do yes underscore no underscore option, which it changes the icon. Boom, put your semicolon and you're done. Or we're not done. But now that we finished creating the J option pane and we're getting the result and storing it in result, now we're gonna basically, this is what happens based on what you click. So we're gonna do if result equals, because you always gotta do equals when you're comparing something. So if result equals or equals, now this is something new. J option pane dot yes option. You could only do this on confirm dialogues. So if they click yes, is basically what it says. So if the user clicks yes, what it's gonna do is it's gonna rerun it. So we're gonna do main dot do run, because that's the name of the method that we used back here. Do run. So boom, and then you put a semicolon, and then there. So if the user clicks yes, rerun. Alright, so the next part is if they click no. So we're gonna do else if, right, result equals J option pane dot, right, we're gonna do the same thing we did last time, but instead of yes option, it's gonna be no option. So J option pane dot no option. Then we do a squiggly diggly, and now we're gonna tell it what it does if it's no. Hold, let me just delete this real quick, a little space so it looks cleaner. So if it's no, then we're gonna do system dot exit 0. Honestly, you could probably leave this blank and it still closes, because technically, if you think about it, we don't have another task for the computer to do if they click no, so it will automatically close. But you could just do system dot exit just in case, you know, to clear anything up. So we're gonna do if they click no, exit. And now we actually have a third option. Oh, forgot the semicolon. We actually have a third option, and this is if they click the little X in the top corner. So we're gonna do else if result equals, and this is gonna be the same thing as last time. So J option pane dots, instead of yes or no, it's gonna be closed option. Closed with a D, not closed. Boom. Now, okay, why does this look weird? Oh yeah, I don't need that. So boom, if they click the X, for me, you could do like make it rerun if they click X, but I personally think that's dumb, because obviously they click the X, they want to get out of it. So if they click X, we could do system.exit. like, oh, they click the X, they exit out, so they don't want to do it anymore. And make sure you put 0. I don't really want to explain this, we can use this for another video. But when you use system.exit and you just want it to exit normally, just do system.exit 0. That's basically all you need. So now we could hit compile and let's go test it. So boom, void main string args, and let's ask a yes or no question. Am I an amazing YouTuber? Okay, possibly. Boom. Alright, so far so good. Click OK again. Oh, what happened? Why didn't it work? Well, if you guys don't remember, we never told the computer to basically use that method we just created. So to use the method right here in the close option, we never told the computer, oh, make sure you run this after you're done with everything. So now we're gonna go do that right now. So now we're gonna create another like little message right here, say ask to rerun. The name, or this doesn't matter, it's just for yourself. So now we're gonna do, since we made that in the J option class, we're actually gonna need to get the instance of the J option class in here. Oh, which we already do. So we could just do, what do we have it called? J option class dot, let's see what we name the message, close option. J option class dot close. I don't think I did capital C, right? Close option. And squiggly line, or not squiggly line, but semicolon. And then there. Now this should run perfectly. Now let's test it out. Then the question could be, will everybody like and subscribe? Guaranteed. Oh wow, guys, you know what that means. But yeah, so we click OK again, and now look, asks, do you want to continue? And we can hit yes. Let's see, ask another yes or no question. Is it nighttime? Maybe. Okay, click OK again, and then now if you click no, it successfully ends. See, the like blue bar stopped moving. And yeah, that's really all. That's my tutorial, my first tutorial of this. So if you guys liked this video and it helped you, which I honestly, I'm being so for real, I think this could help, but I think I'm still new to this, so I'm like kind of confusing. And if I am confusing you guys a lot, you could always ask stuff in the comments. I'll try and clear it up. But yeah, if you guys have any like other things you want me to do, put them in the comments, or if you guys have any like critiques for me. But yeah, that's all for this video, and thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe, and goodbye.